All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. 13th day of February, Wednesday. Joining me now is the creator of Next News Network, Gary Franchi. I'm going to bring him on here in just a second. Right now we're broadcasting, of course, on a Rinse Radio Network, but that feed is being picked up. It's going out over Rinse as well as Oracle Broadcasting, and Gary Franchi has picked up our feed, our live video feed on Next News Network. So we're hopefully broadcasting live there right now as well. And the Next News Network, it's quite an undertaking. This thing is, it seems around the clock. I believe it's around the clock with relevant stories that are happening, that are taking the fluff of the mainstream off of it and trying to deliver information. I think it's a great idea when he approached us to ask if we could do this feed to broadcast on his network. I was absolutely 100% for it. I wanted to bring him on here to tell us what this is involving, because it's not just like a YouTube channel, like my videos that are posted there several times a week, or the videos of this program. It's actually, as the title says, the Next News Network. Plenty of things to talk about. Let's bring him on. Gary Franchi, thank you very much. I appreciate you streaming our video, our program, number one, and I appreciate your efforts. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Charlie. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here on Wide Awake News. I've been following your work for some time, and just glad to be here. And we're glad to be streaming your program live Monday through Wednesday at thenextnewsnetwork.com.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it, and once Gary teaches me how to use this very expensive giant piece of technology to my side here, I'll be able to capture the video and be able to give you a Thursday night feed and a Friday night feed if Karen wants to do that as well. So a matter of being Monday through Wednesday at this point is my inability to use the technical equipment that Gary helped me purchase. So
it's difficult. It really is difficult when you try to add all the different layers of technology to deliver a message. And that's really what I've, over the past 5-6 years, have just slowly educated and taught myself to get to where I am now, where we're using technology, off-the-shelf parts, putting things together, building servers, and then having custom software created so that we could bring in live feeds like you're watching right now, and retransmit those feeds. It's because you mentioned you're on Rents, and what's interesting about that is we also have the Liberty Radio Network, LRN. Ernest Hancock and Free Talk Live are currently our morning show and our Thursday and Friday night shows. So they're doing the exact same thing that you're doing, and our whole goal is really to find those diamonds in the liberty movement, in the movement to restore America, those individuals who are working and have harnessed that technology, who have gone through the learning curve, and bring them in so that we can retransmit the message, so we can educate more people, and ultimately have a 24-hour live stream of constant information, with reporters feeding us information from all over the world, and have actions and action alerts and all types of things that will eventually make the network what it is. And what you're seeing now, we in the last 50 or so days, we've come a tremendously long way.
Well, and I was talking a little bit with Mike Rivero in the last hour during the break about I've been in the alternative media, air quotes for those who aren't watching on Justin TV or on Next News Network. I've been looking for the person that can do this, to take and make this collaboration happen, because I think there is a lot of good voices in alternative media that are doing this for the right reasons. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of folks doing it for the wrong reasons too. Trying to generate income, and that's their sole motivating purpose. But I think there is some good people, and I think that we really do need something like the Next News Network to draw this information together, to put it in one source, to put it in one place, that it's constantly running. And even if you have 12 hours of programming, and then you're replaying 12 hours in order to get to the next live feed or live stream, even if it's just something that maybe isn't 24 hours live at this time. It's certainly, there's the people out there, there's the willingness out there, and there's enough folks, I believe, are awake that would search out that source rather than waiting for my program to start, or another person in alternative media's program to start, or just visiting websites. I mean, I truly can see where something like you're doing, Next News Network, could be that's on your computer on all the time, rather than having a CNN or a Fox News site pulled up where you're getting this.
What's interesting, Charlie, is I just got an email from somebody I believe it was yesterday, and he said, Gary, he's like, I love what you're doing, and he's like, he was up in Alaska, and I'm not sure what his business is, but he said, Gary, I'm going to put an LCD television monitor in the hallway of my office complex, and I'm going to run a feed from the Next News Network directly into that LCD monitor, so that all the Obama noise down the hall can get a dose of liberty every day. And I said, wow, that's really interesting that you would do that, and I was really excited, because it's really more than just watching it on the television or watching it on your computer. What we want to get people in the habit of doing is learning the simple way to get this onto your home television. I just released on the Next News Network YouTube channel, and it's going to be playing in rotation on our station here, a very simple way to get this on your television. Charlie, I don't know if you've seen these things, but they're tiny little Android computers about the size of a thumb drive, and they have an HDMI plug on the back. You plug it directly into your HDMI port on your LCD television, and then it's got a built-in wireless antenna, connects to your wireless internet in your home, and then you simply fire up the browser inside that Android device on your television. Your television becomes the monitor for the Android computer, and then you have a small remote control, just like your regular Comcast or whatever controller. And for $20, you have the controller. For $35, you have the Android computer, and then you can navigate using the browser, go to Next News Network, make it full screen, and you can stream it 24 hours a day on your television.
Is it specific? Would that be specific to Next News Network, or any streaming internet you could run as your? You
could fire up YouTube. You could fire up anything that you want to point your browser at. And what's really cool about because I've got Android devices all around me. The YouTube, I've got Google TV in my living room, and the Google TV allows me to bring up YouTube videos, and you can just play YouTube videos all day. So these are just some of the minor ways that you can harness modern technology relatively inexpensively. I mean, $50 is a small price to pay to have basically a small smart television adapter on your home computer or home television.
Yeah, I mean, and it certainly seems to be, the truth is, mainstream media is losing its momentum. More and more people are not trusting the information that they're being, fed every day. And I believe it's mainly because there is such a small conglomerate that controls the vast majority of media that is put out via the internet or via, television, whatever. It's all written by API, UPI, Reuters. There's very few true news channels I can't think of any actually right now outside of alternative media where you can get maybe something like RT, where they'll broadcast things that are counterintuitive to the agenda. I do believe this is the growing. The momentum is behind alternative. The momentum is being able to deliver information in a way other than traditional mainstream.
You bring up Russia Today, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate some of the programming they have there, but that was also one of my motivating factors in building the Next News Network was, here we have a Russian state television station.
Hold on one sec, Gary.
Come back.
We're gonna take our break now, and we'll be back with Gary Franchi, founder of the Next News Network and more Wide Awake News Radio in just a few minutes. Hang tight. All right, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Gary Franchi, creator of Next News Network, is our guest, and we're actually trying to real-time figure our break structure out It 4 minutes and 12 seconds should have been that last break. 17 minutes after, that should have been 21:12. To answer your question, I dropped that into Skype, to our Skype, Gary, so you can check that out, and we'll try to adjust that to get it a little bit more accurate. You were talking about when we interrupted you with that last break about RT, and you didn't get to finish your thought on that, but I brought it up and you wanted to comment on it, so please continue.
Yeah, it's like one of my motivating factors, aside from working with hr2, who made America, Freedom to Fascism. I sat there and I watched Russia Today. I watched a lot of the productions there, and agreed with a lot of the perspectives they were providing, especially because it was really an outside look at America. But I said to myself, why are we letting the Russians do the job that we need to do here domestically?
Right.
And that was really my motivating factor. I said, here, this is a state-sponsored news network, Russia Today. They're getting paid through the Russian banking system and all that. They're obviously fulfilling some sort of foreign policy objective of Vladimir Putin. So, whatever it is, they're fulfilling some sort of state agenda. And how, for whatever reason that is, when they put domestic voices of opposition to our own government on that network to paint the American people or the American government in a negative way, to reinforce, I believe, the oppressive, post-communist Russia that we see today. So it's like, oh, look, America, they're spying on their own citizens too. You think you were free in communist Russia? You think you weren't going to get spied on? Well, guess what? They do it over there too. And I think it's only a matter of reinforcing tyranny worldwide that they can go ahead and use us, the beacon of liberty, as the dim example of what it looks like when you have a government that's out of control. So, do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no doubt whatsoever that there's a slant to the reporting, right? I'll be the first one to tell you that, and I've been on there, 30 times, and so I understand that there's certainly a desire to expose the darker side of American government on RT. I'm the first to admit that. If it wasn't for the fact that that our mainstream media, which is, in my opinion, government controlled every bit as much as any other media in the world,
absolutely,
even more so because the corporations that own that media are actually controlling the government. I'm glad they're there only because things that are not talked about in our mainstream, at least, are talked about on there. But like you said, I'm certainly aware that there's a desire there to portray the United States as a lot darker than the projection that is presented by our mainstream media.
Well, and certainly that's, again, my motivating factor is so that we don't have to rely on a foreign reporting service to do the job that needs to be done here at home.
Right.
We have enough voices here of opposition, voices who are supporting and exposing the agendas of those domestic terrorists, the real domestic terrorists, and that's why I just want to bring us all together and have a properly funded network so that we can support the hosts, so we can support the stream, so we can support it. And my ultimate goal is to get it onto television. I'm actually producing a daily television show in Florida and in Boston that reaches 8 million people in both of those markets. Yeah, so we've got our foot in the door on television.
You're producing outside of Next News Network, or it is Next News Network that is
well, it's sort of a hybrid. It's we do plug the YouTube channel and the Twitter accounts for Next News Network at the end of the show. We also when we have our interviews, it says Next News Network on the interview pillars when we talk to our guests. So there is some branding there, but it's really the brand itself is WHDT. That's the call letters for the station in Florida. and the call station for the letters in Boston is WHDN. WHDT was the first fully high definition television station in the United States, and it's one of the last privately funded, privately owned television stations in Florida. So,
wow.
so I met the owner during the election, and we got to talking. We did some early broadcasts for Ron Paul during then, and here we are today.
That's outstanding. I didn't realize that you were getting that kind of exposure. That's excellent. Let's continue this talk because I want to take it to the next question that I have for you, which is this quest to control the internet. It's gonna rear its ugly head again in the next few days. We'll talk about that with Gary Franchi. We'll be right back with more Wide Awake News Radio. Please hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, joined by network pioneer Gary Franchi of the Next News Network. Gary, you know, the State of the Union happened yesterday. One of the top items of the agenda that's really not being talked about by the mainstream is the domination of the internet. They've been trying this thing year after year. Last year, it passed the House of Representatives. It went to the Senate and lost by 2 votes, I believe, 2 or 3 votes, or failed, I should say, didn't lose, failed by 2 or 3 votes. And now they're talking executive orders to step in and create a cyber-safe internet. I personally believe what you're doing, what I'm doing, what alternative media is doing, what people in our chat room are doing is a direct threat to the powers that be. And I'm not talking government. Well, I guess in a way I am, but I'm talking about the industrial special interests that have a desire to crush the free exchange of information and ideas because it's dangerous. It's dangerous if we're talking to one another. It's dangerous if we're, pointing out inconsistencies in mainstream media. It's dangerous if we're pointing out obvious corruption between Washington and Wall Street. So, this is going to be put back on the burner. I really believe that if we don't have a so-called representative government pass legislation, they will use executive orders. And who knows, maybe even some kind of false flag cyber attack in order to reinforce the need for government to step in and regulate this thing hard. Your thoughts?
I think that it's I would not oppose impeachment proceedings at this point, given the level of abuses that the American people have had to endure under these last 4 years. They should have impeached Bush. They successfully impeached Clinton, but they didn't take it all the way. Free speech is very dangerous, Charlie. Free speech is dangerous. They want to give license to bloggers. There was the one guy out on the East Coast. He had put a weight loss blog together, and they came and clamped down on him for giving weight loss advice without a license, and he's just sharing his personal experience. Just something as simple as personal health and an individual's personal experience in their health. They don't want people sharing that information.
Hold on a sec, Gary. Hold on a sec. I don't want to catch up. I want you to finish this, but I'm getting static when you're talking. I don't know if do we have the cell phone too close to the?
No, I've moved my cell phone.
Okay.
Away.
Well, Gary, Hindershot, are you picking this up, or is this? I don't want to.
I'm hearing Bluetooth syndrome.
Well, I've got my tablet near the thing. Could that be?
It might be. Did you move it away from it?
Yeah, let me move it away here. I'm just multitasking.
I know you're trying to run a network, and anybody watching on Justin TV or on Next News Network can see the bank of monitors he's got going around. I'm more than sure that your day isn't 8 hours long. But let's see. Once you count to 5 for me, let's see if we got this handled. 1, 2,
yeah, that 3.
Did it. Yeah, it's gone. So you're telling us about the guy in California. He was trying to offer advice for weight loss. They came in and clamped down on him. We had Biden come out yesterday, I believe, telling the mainstream media that he needs legitimate media to get on board with the gun control legislation.
Well, Charlie, what defines legitimate media? Is it the
Yeah.
media that's accepting big pharma money? Is it the media that's run by General Electric, who's building the weapons that they're dropping on children in Afghanistan? I mean, is that legitimate media? I mean, that's. I mean, in my opinion, I think that's what he means.
Well, you know what? In my opinion, you should have about an hour a day with that description of the media that we're being fed right now. You should yourself, Gary Franchi, you should do an hour-long video rant a day, telling the people where exactly their media is sourced from. You talk about General Electric, number one beneficiary of bailouts of 2008, building nuclear reactors. One of them happens to be, or several of them happen to be in Fukushima. Absolute control over media when it comes to NBC, because they are the company that owns it. MSNBC, NBC, General Electric. Jeffrey emailed that the job czar, or whatever title he was given. This is direct collusion between industry and government, and that is what it is fascism. So yes, that is the mainstream media that we're supposed to bow down and worship and believe every word that comes out of Anderson Cooper or any other talking head's mouth as being gospel truth. But it is 100% written for them, agenda driven. And if that weren't the case, we wouldn't need outlets like yours. We wouldn't need the truth coming into us from different media outlets that are based outside of the United States.
Well, it's tainted media, and that's what the American people are getting. They're getting it's so funny because you turn on Fox, you turn on MSNBC, you turn on CNN, you turn on these different networks, and they're all very clearly leaning in a specific direction. So all of a sudden now you're that person who wants that perspective, who wants to be fed the neocon agenda, another person who wants to be fed the liberal agenda. They just flip on their flavor of the day or whatever it is, and then they get fed that information. They get the talking points. There's nothing more, Charlie. There is nothing more than I like. I have a secret little enjoyment when I'm talking to people and I'm trying to enlighten them about different realities that are taking place in America, and they come back at me and they deliver these talking points, and they're very. I know where the talking points come from. They come from Hannity. They come from Rachel Maddow. They come from Bill O'Reilly. It's so funny how the mass media programs the individuals in the United States, and then they go ahead and regurgitate that as if it's gospel truth.
Man, I tell you, brother, I know exactly what you're talking about. These are people that I've either worked with for years or came up in this industry, in the building industry with, and they regurgitate Limbaugh, Hannity, Beck, and you know what they're going to say before they say it, because you happen to
Exactly.
monitor what was said or what the talking points are. And, I do believe there's hope for these people, because if a few of them I'm thinking in my head right now that I've been talking with for years on end, they'll walk up to my desk and I know what they're going to say. Did you see this last night? And I'll say, let me guess. O'Reilly told you to feel this way about it, so you're about to tell me X, Y, and Z. And if you point out the truth to them, it somewhat hurts, because I think it hurts them rather, because they have to realize that maybe they're 50, 60 years old and they've been led down this path.
They've been duped, and it's painful to watch someone make that realization. And then, of course, their defense mechanisms go up, and then they don't want to talk, and then suddenly the relationship's strained, and then you never talk to the person again. You're not invited to the parties anymore. I know the drill. I've been there, done that. But there is hope, Charlie.
Absolutely.
There is hope on the horizon, and I hope that the gentleman up in Alaska who is about to buy that LCD monitor, put that little Android device in the back of his TV, and hang it on the hallway. They hear Charlie McGrath every single night. They hear Ernie Hancock in the morning. They listen to our news briefs throughout the day. They listen to all the different documentaries and extreme information that we're going to be dumping out, and we're going to be hammering out the reprogramming of America, Charlie. That's what I'm working on, to counterbalance all of the propaganda talking points that are coming down from the spoon-fed corporate leaders who are destroying this country, lobbying the government, bombing the children in Afghanistan, spying on us here at home. Like that. That's what's going on, Charlie. That's my motivation.
Well, yeah, you're 100% right. That is exactly what's going on, and it's being sold to us as for our own safety and our own good. But a little bit all right, we're going to take this break. All right, we'll do this break now, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit in our final segment about the task of people who can communicate and realize the truth. I mean, it truly is a time that it is an obligation that you do what you can do. If you understand the truth and the direction of this country, that you do what you can do to try to get your friends, family, coworkers, loved ones, acquaintances turned to not to necessarily your line of thought, but to think for themselves. We're going to be right back with Gary Franchi and more Wide Awake News Radio in just a minute. Hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Final segment on this 13th day of February. Gary Franchi is our guest, founder of nextnewsnetwork.com. Nextnewsnetwork.com. Go there, bookmark it. You can watch it all day long. He's running programming there 24/7. And, I believe, Gary, it's the first of its kind to be offering alternative media around the clock. Is that true? That is true, isn't it? You're the first one to do it.
It's funny you should mention that, because the person who developed and formulated our server emailed me after he watched one of our maiden connections to one of our hosts. Actually, Charlie, you are the first host that we ever used and brought in live.
Cool.
So hang that on your mantle or whatever, because you helped us successfully make the first connection, and it was real. I mean, I was so excited when I saw that take place for the first time. I knew that we had achieved a glorious milestone. And the software developer who helped me build the system, he was watching it, and he said, Gary, he says, I don't know anyone else that is doing what you're doing right now. And we're pushing the envelope all the time and always trying to just keep topping our own successes. And there's many more milestones to come.
Well, and it's like I asked you during the break, because you're talking, you might as well be talking, Mandarin to me when you're talking about the different equipment that you're using and what happens when a feed isn't coded right. And, Gary Hendershot, who's producing the video stream right now, he would love to hear that kind of talk. Me, I just, I go into the duh mode. But I straight up asked you, well, how are the networks doing it? And you quickly pointed out, they have $100,000 software that they're using, and then a staff of people to do it. You're trying to do this on a shoestring budget with a $5,000 server, and so my hat's off to you for pulling off what you've been able to accomplish.
We just hired a producer full time to work alongside me on the network, and then I also have a staff of three other individuals. I have another producer for our WHCT program, and I have 2 editors that work on that program every morning. And then my wife, she also reads the headlines around the clock. You'll see her. She's the brunette on the network. And then we also have Claire, who is the woman with the English accent, and she also reads the headlines. They alternate throughout the day. And
are they giving commentary, or are they just announcing the headlines? I've seen your wife up there.
Yeah, it's really just headlines, and we do that for a reason, because we know that the headlines written in a fact-based manner are going to speak much greater volumes than the way you would see the headlines as presented by Fox News, because Fox News is obviously going to twist it. CNN is going to twist it. So we just provide the facts because we want the facts to speak for themselves. That's really our motto, and that's just classic in classic journalism. But then the benefit is that we have shows like yours, where you have the ability to speak your perspective to the audience. And Ernie Hancock from freedomsphoenix.com, he has his ability to speak to the audience with his perspective, and Ian Freeman from Free Talk Live, the same thing. And the more people we bring in, the more perspectives that we can present to the American people. So it's a work in progress. It's around the clock. I lose a lot of sleep over it, and but it's
I'm tired just looking at your monitor bank behind you. I mean, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that your wife's working on the network, she'd probably leave you.
Yeah,
because you're consumed.
Well, she's very forgiving, and if you look at some of my earlier YouTube videos from when I was doing the reality report on a regular basis, she would also be reading the headlines back then too.
So she's on board, which that's great.
Yeah, she's on board, and I have to say I could not do this job without my wife's support, and it's an important factor in bringing the message to the American people, having a stable household.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you know, I can't imagine. I mean, my girlfriend understands what I do. She watches my videos. She supports, you know, virtually 99% of my perspective that I deliver in them. I cannot imagine trying to be in a relationship where you are awake, right, and somebody that wants that normalcy bias. They want to believe everything that's coming out of Washington or across their mainstream media. That would be, well, I know it. I know it'll happen. I've had people call in early when I started doing programs talking about, you know, they're trying to wake their wife up and they ended up getting tossed out of the house.
Yeah.
And, you know, it goes to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, which is, you know, the ability to wake someone up can't be done with a sledgehammer. You can't do it with a bucket of reality, because the only thing that's going to do is turn people off. The way that, you know, you talk to your acquaintances as well as I do. I'll listen always first. I'll listen to their point of view, determine, you know, what news channel they tuned into, which doesn't take very long to figure that out. And then, you know, try to approach them from a reality-based, fact-based argument. And if you do lead them into reality, you know, lead them, not push them, it's a lot more effective. And I think, you know, your network, this guy in Alaska, he's either going to be a hit, you know, this guy is going to be really popular, or he's going to be in a lot of trouble, depending who looks at it and how they, you know, how they take my program or the other programming you have up there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. And we're also in talks with a lot of other liberty-based websites, news-related websites. Like, for example, freedomsphoenix.com. We gave them a video player, and if you go there right now, you can see that our video player is playing at the top homepage of freedomsphoenix.com. We're talking with other websites as well to see if, hey, look, we want to give you this player. You can put it on the top of your website, and let this become that network for the entire movement across all the platforms, across all the websites, so you can constantly see what is happening, get the news, so that come 2016, when whoever decides to run, we don't have another repeat of the Ron Paul blackout that we saw in 2008 and in 2012.
Well, I think they understand. I think they understand the momentum of alternative media, and I hate to even limit it to that alternative media. The internet awakening that's occurring, and you know that was what generated so much momentum for Ron Paul in the last two campaigns, was the sharing of ideas and information over the internet. And you know, I have no doubt that that's one of the reasons that they want to vet any message that's going out over the internet. Before we go any further, though, I do want to deliver a thank you message from my friend and Tuesday night and Thursday night co-host for hour number one, Eric Lovely. He wanted me to give you a thank you for broadcasting our programming out on Next News Network. So thank you very much for that.
Well, we're happy to do it. You guys are doing great work over there, and that's why we want to carry what you're doing, because it's worth it. And you mentioned the global awakening. Well, Zbigniew Brzezinski has come out on a number of occasions, and he said the global awakening is a threat to their agenda. Hillary Clinton has said it in Senate hearings, where she feels that the alternative media is overtaking their ability to lose the information war, as she put it. So they know they're losing, and they're going to do whatever they can to try to shut it down. But I believe that, you know, there's going to be a lot of individuals who will rise to the occasion. They'll set up micro transmitting systems to be able to transmit wide area networks. They'll hack a home wireless internet router.
Right.
They'll amplify the antenna to
what was the movie?
blast out to 2 miles.
Gary, what was the movie where you start talking about that? They had the high tech, the low tech, and it was that kind of a world. You had the elite. Dang it, I can't think of it. A dolphin was the key rebel. What the heck?
I can't recall, but
Johnny Mnemonic.
Remember,
was it. John, thank you, Gary. Johnny Mnemonic.
I'd have to revisit that film. It's been some time, but the immediate vision that came to my mind was Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater. And he's in his Jeep and he's got the antenna flinging around and he's like, yeah, this is it, the revolution, and you're gonna see a lot of that in the future if they try to shut it down.
Yeah, we'll hack into the system. We'll use a dolphin and a radar dish. We're gonna hack in, and the message has got to go out. But all kidding aside, it seriously could come to that, Gary. It could come to the point where you're taking drastic measures to get this kind of broadcasting out because it is an absolute threat. It's a threat to
what they've done.
Status quo.
They just had a meeting out in Phoenix actually, and they're talking about internet security and the internet ID card, and you're not going to be able to log in unless you have a positive ID to get online. And they want to match you to the computer, not just the IP address, but they want to match you and your person. So probably using some sort of biometric recognition system, a thumbprint or retina or something, to get you logged into the system so that they know that it's you who's uploaded that virus, or you that has accessed that website, or you have shared this email or this picture or whatever it may be, so that they can come down and crack down on you when the time comes. But
and I don't mean to cut you off, but they are messing with, there's a lot of very intelligent people in this fight, right? A lot of young guys, young women who understand, how to make these kind of signals, how to make these kind of broadcasts happen. And Anonymous is a I don't know how you feel about the whole Anonymous deal, but that's a good example. That if they attack the internet or this exchange of information, it's not going to just go by unnoticed. You know what I mean?
Well, they opened Pandora's box already.
Yeah.
The internet was originally designed by the Defense Department.
Withstand a nuclear attack.
DARPA. And they opened up Pandora's box, and now it's a backbone for banking. It's a backbone for everything. And you can't close Pandora's box.
That's right, and not easy to shut down because you're right. The defense industry created it to survive a nuclear attack. So it isn't a matter of just putting in the kill switch, as they say. Gary Franchi, pioneer in broadcasting. nextnewsnetwork.com is the website. Check it out, bookmark it. We'll get you on again real soon, Gary. And thank you very much for broadcasting our programming.
Thank you for having me, Charlie. It's a pleasure. Keep up the great work.
All right, man. Thank you very much. All right, guys, stay tuned for Jeff Renz because he is coming up next. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.